Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Underhood Show presented by Melhome Ford. Josh, it's the last show of 2025.
That is, last Saturday in December, last show of 2025. Absolutely.
Not too bad. I can't believe this year's over.
It's crazy that we're approaching January. That's for sure.
Hey, it's call-in show 316-462-3673. It's anything ailing your car, tires, brakes, batteries, anything you don't understand about your car, or you want to talk about anything automobile world, racing, I don't care. You get a great price package for each and every caller calling in. And it's very easy to do. Just call 316-462-3673. That's the number at the bottom of the screen that comes into the front desk. Tell the girls you want to get patched into the podcast, and we'll get you on the air here and get your question. But as always, Josh, what's in that $205 package?
So we're going to mail it out to you, but it's going to consist of the works, which is an oil change and tire rotation. We're going to use Motorcraft oil and filter products on that vehicle while we've got it. You're going to check over do a multi-point inspection on that vehicle, checking over the brakes, tires, steering, suspension, all the safety-related components on it, just making sure that it's geared up and ready to go for that next 5,000 miles of driving. You'll also get yourself to $10 to Mel's Diner, so you can get yourself something to eat and drink while you're here with us at the Big Corner. Complete nitrogen for your tires, so you get all the great benefits that nitrogen has to offer. And then BG products package, which consists of a can of MOA or motor oil additive for your engine oil, and then CF5 for your fuel tank. Again, just getting that vehicle geared up and ready to go.
All right, let's get the phones ringing, 316-462-3673. Love to hear from you and answer your questions. But Josh, this weather has been crazy.
It is absolutely unseasonable. Christmas was just a couple days ago, and
I spent all day Christmas Day outside.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe it. So anyway, let's talk about that for a minute, because we're getting ready to. I know we're going to get punished.
Mm-hmm.
Old man Winter's going to come back and piss us off, is what he's going to do. So, but let's talk about that a minute. What that's doing to our fuel tanks, because you talked about the CF5, one of the fuel tanks and stuff. Going from these higher temperatures, and it's going to drop big time. I know it's just going to happen. I didn't watch the weather forecast or look at it, whatever. I just know what's going to happen.
You're on borrowed time. That's
yeah. So, but anyway, we've had all that fog too, which also puts all kinds of humidity and moisture and everything in the air. And guess where that condensation is going to hit? It's going to hit the bottom of our oil pans, and it's going to hit the bottom of our fuel tanks. So let's kind of go through what we need to be doing to. Granted, we need to be changing oil every 5,000 miles or 5 months, whichever's first.
I got in a situation this week on a couple of different occasions, and it was in regards to oil change intervals, and like you're mentioning here, with condensation and just different needs, or the vehicles being used in a different need than what somebody else does. And there's just so many other intervals to it than just a mileage, right? So you would talk about mileage, and the oil change stickers have the date range on now, and the hours in which you operate the engine, even on gas engines at this point, is critical too. Happened to work with a local police department, and I mean, they had like 800 hours between oil changes, and hadn't even hit.
That should have had 4 oil changes.
Yeah, and it hadn't even hit 2,000 miles on it yet.
Just running all day long.
Yeah,
runs 24/7.
They start their shift, they start the vehicle, and it just sits. And the guy is speaking with the officer in regards to it. And he's like, it just never really even dawned on me. It sits there, and
Mr. Daniel's being awful funny over here. Wrapped up like a burrito.
Yeah. So
it's going to get cold, Tim. We're getting prepared.
Yeah, it's just
it's just habit. It's a habit to throw on a pullover.
It's
this time
December,
of the year.
Tim.
Not time
Well,
for tank tops.
and also, I don't know. I can't speak for Tim, but I know when I left my house this morning, I was the only one up and around, and it is cooler in the morning than it is.
Yeah, he's probably still laying in bed with his pillow, got his appetite up, watching to see what it is.
Gosh, yeah, so it is a little cooler in the morning than it is around 10, 11 o'clock when some people get out.
I will tell you, I did think about it for a minute not to put one on this morning.
Yeah.
But no, my luck is going to be something will happen. I can always take it off. I can't show up with one and not have one either. So.
And it's Kansas. The weather will change in a moment's notice for sure.
I don't know, but I will tell you that A burrito does sound pretty good about right now, too.
There you
Okay,
go.
so back to these warmer temperature days and getting that 800 hours on an oil change. Just think about how much damage that's done and life that it's taken out of that motor. Not just the wear. Think about all the components inside that engine have just the tolerances are so much more. All that stuff. Now the next thing is to clean that up. Man, it's going to take at least 4 oil changes to clean it up.
Yeah, for sure. And what blew me away is and again, just from the consumer standpoint, I was like looking at it. Well, it's only got 1,000 miles on it, or 2,000 miles on it. I think is what it had. And that makes me think of, okay, now you're looking at a used vehicle, and you're looking at solely just like on the odometer, and it's only got this many miles on it. Okay, well, how was it treated in that many miles, and what kind of shapes it in, and what's the inside of that engine look like, in this particular situation? Like you're saying, it should have had 4 services in that amount of time, and like the damage that's already done and got that thing off to a bad start. Like and we started the GDI program with them, and are planning on doing that.
That's for life of that motor now.
Multiple services in, but it's just crazy to me to think of as a consumer. The intent wasn't to do anything wrong, but nobody knew. Nobody knew that, hey, and then you add these oil maintenance minder lights in there in the situation, and that just drives me nuts on those things.
Drives me more than nuts. Just uncalled. If you're going to run by the oil life and you want to do that, change it at 50%.
Yeah.
Please don't go any more than 50% on those oil lives. That's what you want to do. I hate for you to do that. 5,000 miles is the right interval right now with what we're doing to keep the life in your motors and all that kind of stuff too. From that part. So anyway, Delbert Ox Online. Good morning, Delbert. Going to see you next Saturday, Josh, for 2 oil changes, he says.
Very good.
And from that part, Dennis Nelson, good morning. So anyway, back to these weather, jumping up to 70. Now we're going to get right back down to there. Make sure that your tank, if it's under a half a tank of fuel, go fill it up, because it's going to freeze real quick, and there's going to be condensation in this fuel tank. It's going to end up right at the bottom of your fuel tank. By far. And if you're getting close to an oil change, I'd be getting ready to get that out of there, because that just drastically. Think about your driving. I mean, I had to take my daughter and son-in-law to the airport on the 23rd. Drove 30 mile an hour down 235, and it was like it was raining. All that's engines. You're sucking all that into the engine, and if you're not getting your engine hot enough, it's not going to boil that out of there, and it's going to end at the bottom of the tank.
Well, you notice when it's super foggy out like that, and you start the vehicle up, like it seems like it smokes so much more, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Just from the moisture and the condensation in the thing, it is crazy.
So anyway, you talked about the GDI oil service. We haven't talked about that in a while, and what GDI stands for, and what that is, and what that does for our motors today. So let's kind of go a little more detail with that. BG Products has got a great product here for this to help your engines from that part. And I'm going to go way back to my days of wrenching on cars. And at 70, 80,000 miles, we were tearing engines apart, and we were putting rings in them. Sometimes we're boring motors out, but
cylinder walls, right? Like sometimes you had to sleeve them, or just because of the wear in the cylinder walls.
So we had these cast iron rings that would wear. But you know what was funny? I still remember I would take old rings and break them in half. So when I'd re-ring a piston, I'd have to take that old ring and go through the groove and cut all the carbon out of there, so the new ring would fit right and everything. So we were developing carbon a long time ago. Didn't realize what was happening there. But again, we were taking engines apart at 70, 80,000 miles. Now we get 100,000 miles in these things. There's hardly anywhere, because these rings now are these little friction rings. But in turn, that same carbon we're cleaning out of those grooves at 70, 80,000 miles is still happening, but it's happening quicker.
Yeah,
from that part.
With it's kind of a give and take, right? But our tolerances are so much tighter than what they were years ago.
Yep.
And the components last so much longer than what they did years ago. But you've got to maintenance it different than you did years ago.
Well, we used to maintenance our cars. What I used to do was every fuel tank is now what we're doing every 5,000 miles.
Yeah.
You pull in to get your tank filled up, and back then there were 15 to 18 gallon fuel tanks. go about 200 miles, because that's about 10 miles a gallon, what everybody got. And we might put a quart of oil in it. We'd have to top off the tires, top off the radiator, top off the battery, air up the tires, all that stuff. Today, we're doing it every 5,000 miles. We jump in and we roll in a quick trip, top off the gas, get them something to drink, we keep rolling.
I would think there'd be an interesting stat to know how many people physically check their oil, like the oil level.
No, I'm going to say 95% of people don't.
Yeah,
I you know, the last time I pulled a dipstick on my cars I'm driving?
yeah, I would guess 1 in 10, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But anyway,
That's
so,
being generous.
Yeah.
I think.
so now these low friction rings, which makes less wear, makes more power, seals up better, but that carbon still develops. And instead of those rings being able to flex and move in a cylinder and seal it, they lock up. And it's just over time, they grow as you start locking up. So BG came up with this great product called Engine Restore, basically what they call it, but you pour it in before the oil change and run it. You got to get the engine hot, and then you run it for 15, 20 minutes and drain it out. And basically that thing, as it's running, it goes on the backside of those cylinders and cleans all that carbon out of those cylinders. And also the oil passages. And that's the other thing, is there's oil passages that are like a pencil, thin, thick, and it doesn't take much for that to build up. And you plug them up.
Yeah, from the visual on this service, I wish consumers would be able to see, like just when a normal oil change happens, and then when you do this compression restoration service or the start of the GDI service, like it is night and day difference how much darker and blacker and just nastier that engine oil is when it comes out there. And I mean, you can take a brand new vehicle with 5,000 miles on it at its first service, and you can do this, and there is a huge comparable difference. And but I wish that's something that we could present to our customers.
I guess what we need to
and show
somehow
that
we
as
need to,
available.
it's
I
hard.
think what I was maybe if I can get maybe 2 rental vehicles that are right around the 5,000 mile
Do
mark,
one more,
and
the
I'll
other,
do
do that,
one,
and pull
then
it,
one
get
will
a
do
sample out
GDI,
for each one.
and then, see both oils. I think
Yeah.
we could probably work something like that out.
Well, the best example, and I know you've done tests, I've done tests, different things with it too, is Jake, when we were racing the modified, we had 2 cars and we had 2 motors.
Mhm.
And we had them both done in 1 year, ran them both, back and forth to different races. We had the cars set up and stuff, and of course one was a backup. And we did a compression check. And the compression on one motor was just like it's all over the board.
Uh-huh.
So we threw in the EPR, ran it 30 minutes. And I went to drain the oil, and I'm thinking, this didn't work. Because the oil wasn't that black. But I know why it wasn't very black. You know why? Because I change my oil in the race motors more often than anybody thinks you're supposed to change them, because I do. So there wasn't a lot of carbon or old oil in the engine. So that's why I didn't change it. I thought, golly, this didn't do much. So we put new oil in it, fired it back up, and then I did another compression check. The compression leveled out. All cylinders were exactly the same. So it did work. It did clean the stuff up behind the rings. And just my engine was super clean inside because I changed it so often.
Yeah.
So that's why it's not as black as it was coming out of there either. So that's a good testimony of what it does. And that's on a race motor. Think what it does on a passenger or light duty truck, or even a diesel. How about that?
Well, and especially, on your particular situation, I don't think that oil is in there for any extended period of length of time, right? So just in number of days to pick up moisture and things like that. Versus,
I think the race motor fires up, it runs, it gets hot, it goes. And then, I started thinking about this here in my head. It's probably getting changed every 50 miles.
Yeah.
But again, it's under a lot of stress and it's under high RPM.
And then I think too, to the point that you just made, when you start that thing up, you don't just start it up and let it run for, just a little while. Like you get to full operating temperature and it stays there.
It's an operating temperature before it hits the racetrack.
Yeah, for a substantial amount of time too. And so,
so anyway, I suggest every oil change after you hit 15,000 miles on a new motor to start running the GDI through there to keep cleaning it up and keep it clean and keep your power, keep your horsepower, keep your fuel economy all there from that part.
Well, and that's a point that I was going to make in regards to the GDI services that I think that from a consumer standpoint, when you drive something on a daily basis, like don't notice certain things as they gradually decrease. And in this
Right.
particular situation, you have the opportunity for your compression to just kind of
Gradually
decrease
go away.
slowly, and
You don't notice it.
you just don't notice it. And we've had instances or cases where we've performed this service on customers' vehicles. And like, wow, it's like you put some more horsepower.
Put 50
in it,
horsepower back
you
in.
know, and in a way we did. It may not have been 50 horsepower, but it did restore that compression to that vehicle. And with that, you're going to get better fuel economy. The performance is going to be restored to new condition and stuff like that. And to be able to notice a difference just over a service like that is
Crazy.
Speaks volumes, I think.
All right, let's get the phones ringing. 316-462-3673. Love to hear from you. Get that great price package for over $205. Anyway, Delbert's got a rear window defroster problem, Josh. Has 9 or 10 lines in it, and top line doesn't work, but the next 4 do, and then all the ones below don't work.
There is it's just an electric grid. So it's there's power on one side and a ground on the other, and that it's
got a break in one of those
It's
somewhere.
got a whatever lines aren't working, there's a break in it somewhere.
It's just on one of the Bronco Sports, so it's pretty easy to test too.
Yeah, so a lot of times visually you could probably just look at it and
See where the broken grid's at.
What we see or what we run into a lot of times is, especially on a rear hatch or something, if somebody's loaded something in the vehicle and it's rubbed up against the glass, because it is just a real thin strip of copper that runs across the back there, and if it's broke that connection, then there are repair kits out there, and that's something that we can help you with. But essentially it's I want to say copper nail polish is essentially kind of what it amounts to, and so that's what that is the best way to repair those, aside from replacing.
I would say replace it way before replacing the rear window, because the rear window is going to be probably 10 times the cost of a window versus going in and actually repairing that area. And it might be just one of those small areas where the feed comes in and comes out or whatever, where it's broke or whatever too, Delbert. So let's look at it first, but I would definitely try to repair it way before I replace a window.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing a number out there, at least 10 times the amount of money to replace it versus repairing it.
Yeah, would agree with that too. So
anyway, let's get the phones ringing. 316-462-3673. And Josh, we usually get some good responses off a question.
Yeah.
So what's everybody looking forward to 2026? And what are you glad? And what is something you're glad that 2025 is over?
Oh man. Okay.
And you call it in, bring it in, not on the chat line. If you bring it in, you get the price package for $205.
2025 being over. I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about that.
I'm going to throw it out there a little bit.
Okay.
What I'm glad is the interest rates are coming down for 26. I'm glad that's what's happening.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's going to help everybody drastically across the board, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can see that. I don't, for 2026 for me is always,
Let me guess, you're going to hit the gym, going to do this.
no, no, not at all. So for 2026, and probably same thing for 25 and 24 is just change. You know what I'm saying? And a new year, just from the automotive side, there's new models coming out, new products. Although Ford, we went to the new car show, there's not a whole lot in the pipeline from what we've seen there, but just evolving and doing things different. The Lightning is something that's they've deemed, I guess, or sunset of that. And so I'm excited.
So the Lightning's turning into an
Yeah.
extended range EV or something, whatever you want to
I'm
call it.
excited to see kind of where that goes.
Yeah.
And, maybe a reset on what I think probably should have happened initially anyways, is to make these things kind of a hybrid versus a full electric
100% agree with that too. 100% agree with that too.
So, yeah, definitely excited just for the new year and things to come. This industry is something that if you've just got to be adaptive to change. You can't be complacent.
Can't do the same thing
if you are from the mechanical side or the technical side, it will just eat you up, and it will not be fun, right? And you've got to stay attuned to the changes and not be afraid of change, for sure. And that's something that
So let's talk about that a minute. We're going to go to NADA in February,
Mhm.
and that's where all the suppliers and OEMs and everybody goes on in one big show and brings all their new and latest greatest stuff. And that's what we're headed to NADA this year in February to find some new stuff. So I'm excited to go to NADA just to see what's new, what's exciting. But then again, there's a lot of what we call smoke and mirrors out there
Well,
too.
and so let's talk about I mean, we can talk about that all day long. And I know you take the same phone calls of salespeople's trying to hit you up about different products and stuff like that. And, you know, there are all these different companies that see a path, and their product is great maybe for that specific area of that specific task. And now I think, you know, coming into 2026 and with the advancements of technology and AI and stuff like that, and what that's going to bring to the automotive industry, and all these products I think are great, but at the end of the day, it's still going to come down to the people,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And
You can have the greatest, it's like I used to use a scan tool, for example. You can have the greatest and latest scan tool. You can't just plug it in and the tool is going to tell you what's going on. The technician still got to be very smart and understand how to use it. And if he doesn't, you're in trouble.
I agree with that too. And, you know, and it's having the right people in the right places to be able to use these products to enhance a service that you already offer, but it's not going to take away the human element. Like, you can't. That's going to be the difference, I think, long term, you know, multiple years down the road of businesses or that succeed in this is the people that understand the product and utilize it to the best of their ability, but still have I guess customer service, I think, is probably the best backing to that, right?
I'd use that too.
It goes, that's part of the package. It's part of what makes it good. And like, customer service is something that, you know, you can go to McDonald's and order from a machine, right? And still and go up and collect it, or collect your meal, and never have to really talk to anybody.
Yep.
But also, I think there's a human desire to want that connection. You know, if I
I
go
think
in
it
there,
loses everything with it.
yeah, if I go into a McDonald's and there's a cashier and then there's that kiosk deal, I'm going to go to the cashier.
Me too. Yeah. You know, when we left Indianapolis that day, went in there, really wasn't nobody there to help us. They were all back in the back.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to go next up. You know, you talk about customer service and everything too. And I want to keep brick and mortar local and all that kind of stuff. But I went on the 23rd, went to buy my last few Christmas presents. And it was a disaster.
Yeah.
I mean, a disaster to get any kind of help, to get someone to take care of me, tell me what I wanted. Then when I finally got somebody, made every excuse in the world why they couldn't get what I wanted. Do you know what I did?
Got online and
Got online, got
Ordered it up.
exactly what I wanted, hassle-free. And that's what we have to change in our world or our environment. We want to keep these brick and mortar stores open and keep things there. We've got to hire the right people, and then they got to care about that customer that walks in that door and give them that ultimate service that we can ultimately give them.
Yeah.
But I got frustrated. I left. The guy goes, "What do you mean you leave?" I said, "I'm done. I'm done hassling with you. You're telling me I can't do this, can't do that." And one of the things you find, well, you can about 45 days, you'll probably have it. I get home, get online. Guess what? That was on the 23rd. Under the holidays and the weekends in there. And I checked it this morning to be on my doorstep Monday.
that's
So, I mean, it's just,
yeah.
anyway. 316-462-3673. What are you looking forward to? Let's just get the positive. What are you looking forward for 2026? And anything you want to talk about that part, we'll get you a great prize package. But yeah, Eric, you're exactly right. People want the check, but they don't want to earn it. Man, it's 100% Eric. Agree with you 100% there. Tim, Daniel, glad we're being made to drink the electric Kool-Aid anymore. Looking forward to Ford wake up and bringing some new models. And I tell you, with some of the things that is coming through the government now and some of the regulations they cut off, I hope that Everest gets over here. I think it can make it now from that part, but we'll see what they got coming. Of course, I talked to some people that at Ford here the other day, and yeah, we're still some 18 months away from having that. Now how the wheels got to spin around now from changing some of the stuff and changing some of the regulations and stuff too. But it's coming. It's going to take a little bit longer than what we'd like to have happen. But man, I got to go back there. It just sticks in my head. People want the check, but they don't want to earn it.
Yep.
100% deal with it every day, that kind of thing. And it's just a constant battle of that, of trying to keep our frontline people ready to go and handle that situation. Because I can promise you, if I worked in that store where I went into on the 23rd, that gentleman was trying to help me, he would not work there again. Not 1 second would he not work there. Anyway, 316-462-3673. Let's get the phones ringing. I'd love to hear from you. Possibly purchasing a new F-150, though.
That's what he's looking for in 26.
Okay. Oh, that's what you're looking for in 2026, huh?
Yeah, that's what he's thinking in 2026.
Okay. All right. Anyway, Josh, again, I can't believe this is the last show of the year. 2025 has went by so fast. Here comes 2026. And got something happening there, Josh, on a technical difficulty.
Oh, just checking a couple.
We had a little technical. We were a little late getting on the air today. Our one camera went up in smoke, I guess you call it. We had to hook up the backup camera. So here we go.
Okay.
You think it's working? I'm good on my side.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think we're good. Got it. So, yeah, I think we're good.
Okay.
Just like that.
All right. What else are we going to talk about, Josh?
Well, so I had a
Oh, you got
couple of things. Yeah,
Okay.
I had two things that I wanted to go over or discuss, and one is, okay, let's say you got a vehicle. Well, let's put it around 8-9 years old, close to 100,000 miles, and now you're looking at an engine replacement. What do you do with that? You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by that is, at what point are you better to cut your losses and trade? At what points are you better to invest the money knowing that you're not going to get that money back out of that thing? And where I guess I'm headed with that is, everybody, or as a consumer, I think a lot of people look for a black or white answer, but it's such a gray area, right? So it depends on the consumer. It depends on what your intent is with the vehicle, whether there's any money owed on it, what you use the vehicle for as a daily, there's as far as miles wise, what you drive it, things like that. There's so many different variables that go into each one of these situations or scenarios. We've had a couple people back in service that had older, higher mileage vehicles, and then it's like, okay, well, there's so many things that, from a advisor's perspective to that customer, again, going back to that customer service, that they can't just look at it from their paycheck and what works best for them. I mean, they can do that, but long term, that's not what's going to be best for the customer.
No.
And that's where I feel like we try to do the best job possible of fact finding, figuring out all the information, what's a long-term goal. And from an advisor's standpoint, if it is best for the customer to trade that vehicle or look at a new vehicle, like, I feel like we do a great job of guiding them in that direction. But then if it's fix the vehicle, and here's where another part of that situation comes into play, is, okay, so let's say, you tear into this vehicle to a pretty decent extent, and the long-term goal is, okay, we're going to keep the vehicle and we're going to drive it many more miles. Well, okay, at that point, instead of just going in and fixing kind of the basic thing and what that needs are, like, why not invest a little bit more and maybe look at, like a long block or something along those lines to protect that investment that you made, so you're not turning around and,
Yep.
another 50,000 miles going back into this for another component or something along those lines.
Kind of like when, back in the days, we put timing belts on, and right there is the water pump staring right at you. And it was always a good thing to go ahead and put that water pump on. At the same time you're putting the timing belt to save all that labor again, because then what will happen, the water pump will start leaking, lick on the belt, and you got a bad thing there too. I'm going to go clear back and I still remember standing on the service drive in Dale Sharp Pontiac Cadillac in Topeka when I worked up there in the 80s, and this elderly lady was in there with her car, and I kept working on this car and fixing it. I finally told her one day, I told her, I said, ma'am, I said, I think it's time you stop spending money on this one and let's get you something different. And she flipped out on me. Flipped out. It's because I hadn't done enough fact finding yet, figure out exactly what was going on. I was just fixing what she was complaining about and stuff. But that was the last brand new car that her husband had bought, and she
Yep.
was never going to get rid of it because of that situation. And guess what? I didn't know. If I'd have known that, I never would have brought that situation up
brought
to
it
her.
up to her.
But that's what you're saying too, Josh. We have to find out all the facts about what's going on with the cars. What is the best thing? And there is no cut black and white when to trade, when not to trade. It all depends on your situation, depends on what's happening. And if the customers will give us all the information we ask for, we can help guide them in the right way of what is the best thing to do. And a lot of times they got their mindset which way they want to go. And no matter what information we give them, it's like I tell everybody, it's your choice. Here's what I'm going to give you. I want to give you the options. And just like I was sitting down with a gentleman, he's coming out of an 18 F-150. He's ordering a new 26 F-150. He's trying to decide which trim level and everything. So he thought what he wanted. So I built the truck the way he wanted. And I said, hey, let me show you this for a minute. I went and he was building a Lariat and pretty well loading a Lariat up. So then I built him a Platinum, but not a loaded up Platinum, and said, here, for a couple more grand, you can have yourself a Platinum. And he looked at me kind of funny, and I said, here's what I'm going to tell you. It's only a couple grand, but the resale value, the ride, the comfort, everything else like that, there's a reason the Platinum versus a Lariat. You're still going to have all the same options, pretty close, but a few more just for a couple grand more. Well, guess what? He left her. He couldn't decide what he wanted, so I didn't sell a truck yet, but I still wanted to give him the option. I told him, I said, I would be not doing my job if I didn't give you all the options here to help you. And that part, the same thing we have to do on the service drive when you bring your car in for service, is that's why the multi-point inspection is there. We give you what we think you need to be done, and it's your choice to do it. If you don't want to do it, no hard feelings, no harm, no foul. But at least you know what we're recommending for you to do to your car to best protect it, make it move forward down the road. But again, we have to do a good job of asking the right questions, but then the customers will give us enough information to do that. You know, it's like that one truck I see back here in the shop too, and I know it scared you too with that old truck back. We're putting a motor in.
Yep.
Are you kidding me? I would know in my way would I ever put a motor in that truck. Never. But we're doing it.
Yeah, I seen that, and
There's got to be a story there or something that we don't know about yet, Josh.
Yep.
But you know, when is the right time to trade? When all that stuff, there's all kinds of scenarios. Everybody's got different opinions, and all my years of doing this, if you want to keep a good low mileage car in your driveway and stuff, trade it before it gets out of the 336.
Well, and I look at it from a perspective of, you know, if tomorrow somebody came to you and said, hey, you need to go to drive X number of distance, like, is it a concern of yours in the back of your head that, well, I probably don't want to take this car, right? Like, to me, that's now I do understand that even a brand new car could break, you know.
You're right. But still the durability, the liability,
but at
comfort.
But at some point there is and then the other side of that for me is like just really doesn't even have anything at all to do with the mechanical ability of a vehicle, especially with today's day and age with how reliable these things are and how long they'll go. Because do I think a 200,000 mile engine, you know, and transmission can go many more miles?
Sure.
I do. I really do.
If they've been
if it's maintained. Where my perspective of this comes from is more of the safety of the vehicle. And you know, we talked about change and the involved evolution and how you know, that change is typically always going to be for something safer, right? And so the vehicles that are made a year ago are less safe than the vehicles that are made today. And just all the research and development and design in that deal. And when I think of my family out driving around in something, like I want them in something safe, you know?
Right. With the, like you said, the crash zones, the airbags, the brakes, all that kind of stuff that's been put into these vehicles.
Just the tech that goes into these things to even collision avoidance, you know. I mean, there's so much happening on these vehicles that a consumer doesn't even know or understand. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, totally is. So I guess with you too. So anyway, we're here to help you do whatever, sit down with you, make the right decisions and stuff too. And if you decide to do, we are here to help you make that right decision and stuff too. So Anyway, 316-462-3673. Love to hear from you this morning. Give away that $205 package for anything ailing your car, tires, brakes, batteries, or if you want to tell us what you're most excited for 2026.
What? Yeah. So 2026.
Well, it depends, Josh. I got a couple of them.
Okay.
Told you already at the dealership. I'm excited to go to NAD and find the latest and
Yeah.
greatest tools and things we can do to come back to help better take care of our customers.
Yep.
Going to tell you on the racing side, I can't excited to wait to get that late model on the racetrack because we did purchase a brand new rocket car. We had it on display out at PRI, and yeah, I'm ready to put that thing on the track and see what it's going to do differently, which I'm excited for that. Went out and met Mark Richards, the owner of Rocket Race Cars, and he gave us a tour of the whole plant and everything where they build all those race cars and showed us all the difference in them stuff. So I'm excited for that. The motor is setting at Jack Cornett in Kentucky, getting freshened up. So can't wait for get that thing back here. And shoot, we could have been racing Sunday. I mean, actually, my days are all mixed up. Wednesday, we could have been
I'll
racing.
tell you what, yesterday felt like a Monday. I would have bet high sums of cash that it was Monday yesterday.
I know. It did not
because,
seem like a Friday yesterday at all.
So
Tim Daniels says need to factor in what might goes next. Put a new tranny in it, then might need a motor. That's exactly right. What's going to happen next and all kind of stuff too. But like I said, everybody's got a different scenario. Everybody's got a different situation and stuff too. And I'm the one that says cut your losses and move on. It's usually where I'm at on. I don't care what the situation is, whatever. Quit dropping money in something that's just I always say quit putting good money to something bad. From that part. So anyway, Josh, last day of the show.
it's crazy that we're into January.
Next time.
Yep.
Next time. So anyway, I hope everybody, we give you enough information, enough good stuff. Going to cut it a little short today. We could have made it longer if we made some phone calls. That's okay. That's okay. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your Christmas holiday. Enjoy the new year. Be safe on December 31st. Everybody be safe on the 31st till the end of the 1st.
Yeah.
The spring and the new year. Let's have a great 26. And everybody have fun this rest weekend, and let's go have a good time. And then we'll join everybody next Saturday at 9 o'clock for the first show of 2026. Everybody have a great Saturday, and we'll talk to you next Saturday.